Well, hello. Welcome back to the North. I'm making this video in the evening, and I'm actually recycling some B-roll footage because my tank's dark right now. So we still have my beautiful fish to look at. This is a recent footage, and I'm just going to redo some audio like this. A little different than the live point and shoot and talk, but should work just fine. And I just want to talk about how water changes actually simulate nature better than anything else. Okay? And just like a gentleman pointed out in the comments section, one of my previous videos, and he pointed out, these fish live in large volumes of water. There's always rain. There's always fresh water coming in. And then I elaborated further and said, yes, plus, the water's moving through the rivers. It's also moving through the ground under, at sea level. It moves through all the ground too, and then into the rivers. You don't see that, but it's happening, and it's getting heavily filtered when it does that naturally. And we just can't simulate that. We, as hard as we try, can't simulate that. And creating a swamp tank definitely is not simulating that. It's the furthest thing from that you could possibly do for your fish. It's, pardon me, for lack of a better term, the most retarded concept I've ever heard in all of my life when it comes to fish keeping. This current fad is, it's just, I don't know how to phrase it other than an animal abuse cult, because really that's what's happening to the fish in these environments. Now, that being said, there are fish that like to live in swampy water. You can put a betta fish in a cup, and it doesn't really need, fresh water and oxygen for its gills, so to speak. It can just breathe from the air, right? So there's fish that can tolerate it. I'm not saying that it's bad for everything. Rice fish seem to like it. Nano fish will tolerate it because their oxygen requirements are very small. But you start putting larger fish in those environments, and you're really just doing them harm. And that's my opinion. It doesn't have to be yours. I get that. But I'm going to offer another perspective so that people can have some food for thought. That's basically what I'm doing here. And the perspective is, if you want to simulate nature, you need to simulate that natural flow of water and the rain that comes every couple days, and that sort of thing. You want the best for your fish. You got to keep it clean, because there's nothing, I don't care how big your tank is, it's never going to compare to the billions of gallons of water that a fish in the wild is directly connected to. His body is connected to, if you think of it like electricity traveling through the water, in the fish tank you got your 120 gallons or so, but in the wild that fish is directly connected to billions of gallons of water that's flowing through everything. And we can't, even with the best filters and the best UV, even me trying as hard as I can't even come close to what Mother Nature is providing for those fish in the wild. And then you think that you stick them in a glass box and then simulate some kind of sludgy green swamp, and you're doing this to fish that are from rivers, that evolved naturally in a river. You've got to be insane. You're not using your head. You need to start thinking. Okay, there are fish you can stick in that environment, and they'll be okay. But even those fish, you can do better for them, and they'll do better. They'll do much, much better. I've never met a betta that doesn't like a clean tank. And they tend to live longer, to be honest, in a clean tank. I don't see betas ever live long in swampy, unkept water. They just tend to not do well. But that, hey, am I wrong? I don't know. I'm not a beta pro, but I did breed them when I was a kid successfully, and it was fun. And I did have to simulate different pHs and stuff to pull it off, and I had fun doing that. But that would have been the closest thing to a quote-unquote swamp tank I ever created, but it still wasn't anything to the extreme these things are. So, I don't know. I think people need a little more perspective. I think people, and that's I'm offering a little more perspective. And people get mad at me for that. Well, I don't care. And if I'm going to speak out against something that I see as animal abuse, well, I'm going to speak out against it because, like, we're not supposed to be doing that. And I can't understand in God's name how somebody is getting away with profiting from teaching people to... I know fish don't really matter in the whole legal sense of the animal abuse thing, I guess, but they're still animals to me, and I'm equally as offended by it. If someone was telling you to never change your dog kennel, and he was knee-deep in doo-doo, oh, don't worry, that's just moam. No, that's Mother Nature, that's that's perfect. Don't worry about his drinking bowl being yellow because it's got a biotope. I mean, you gotta look at these situations in that way, and that's what this has been. And FishTube needs to really, I don't know, someone's got to figure out a way to put a stop to it. I can't understand why YouTube's allowed it to go on as long as they have. And that's just my opinion. But I thank you for listening to my little rant. And I hope it's given someone out there food for thought. Because everyone that decides, hey, I was going to do it that way, but maybe I'm not now. That's a win for the fishies. It's a win for the fishies. I hope you have a wonderful evening.